This lesson will cover product formulation statements. The information is found in Chapter 2 of the CACFP Administrative Manual. Processed foods include multiple ingredients and may contribute more than one meal component. Product labels generally do not provide enough information to determine how much of each component a serving of the item contributes. Likewise, it is impossible to determine if grain products that don't list whole grain as the first ingredient, but contain multiple whole grain ingredients, qualify as whole grain rich. For example, how much meat or meat alternate does this frozen pizza provide? Can the crust count as a serving of grain? Is the crust whole grain rich? And how big does the slice need to be? It is difficult or impossible to find all of this information on the product label, nutrition facts label, or ingredient label. If an item is specifically listed in the food buying guide as creditable, it may be served in a CACFP meal if the required amount is prepared following the information provided in the food buying guide. Examples of processed food listed in the food buying guide include beef stew, beef goulash, corned beef hash, chicken a la king, and chicken with noodles or dumplings. These are just a few examples, but most commercially prepared combination foods are not listed in the food buying guide. If the commercially prepared combination food has a CN label, the item can also be served in a CACFP meal if the information on the label is followed correctly. However, most commercially prepared combination foods available in grocery stores are not CN labeled. Lesson 13 provides more information on CN labels. If you want to serve a commercially prepared combination food that is not listed in the food buying guide and does not have a CN label, another option is to obtain a product formulation statement from the manufacturer. A product formulation statement indicates the serving size and how it contributes toward meeting Child Nutrition Program meal pattern requirements. Product formulation statements must be on company letterhead and list the date of issue. Statements must also be signed by a company official and not a salesperson. They must show how the contribution was determined, referencing either the food buying guide or USDA crediting policies. Do not use the product unless these requirements are met. A web page or list of products that simply list their CN contribution are not acceptable documentation. To obtain product formulation statements, look for the company's contact information on the product label or their website. Use this information to communicate with the company to request a product formulation statement or look for the statement online. Some companies may have acceptable product formulation statements posted on their websites. Let's look at an example for fish sticks. Even if the package provides the weight of a serving, remember a fish stick is not all meat or meat alternate because part of its weight is breading. Here is the product formulation statement provided by Gordon's. The document is on company letterhead, is signed by a company official, and includes the date of issue. The statement also shows how the component contributions were determined. The statement indicates 3 fried breaded fish sticks provide 0.5 ounce equivalent of meat and 0.75 ounce equivalents of grain. 1 to 2-year-olds need 1 ounce of meat or meat alternate for lunch. 6 fish sticks would be needed to provide the required amount of meat for this age group. 6 fish sticks would also provide 1.5 servings of grain when only a half serving is required. 3 to 5-year-olds need 1.5 ounces of meat or meat alternate. This would require 9 fish sticks and provide 2.25 ounces of grain. Only 1/2 ounce of grain is required. 6 to 12-year-olds and adult participants need 2 ounces of meat or meat alternate for lunch. This would be 12 fish sticks and 3 servings of grain. Since these portion sizes are large, and provide excess grain servings, it would be more realistic and cost-effective to serve less than the required amount of meat as fish sticks and make up the difference with a second meat or meat alternate. For example, for 1 to 2-year-olds, serve 3 fish sticks, which equal 1/2 ounce of meat, and add a 1/2 ounce of cheese to total the required 1 ounce. This would also limit the amount of grain to 0.75 ounces, closer to the required amount of 1/2 ounce. Determine the number of fish sticks and the amount of meat they will provide to serve to other age groups and make up the difference with the needed weight of another meat or meat alternate. Here is another example for Pilgrim's Pride whole grain breaded chicken breast fillet. The statement is on letterhead, is signed by a company official, and lists the issue date. The statement indicates the product is whole grain rich, tells how the crediting was determined, lists a portion size of 4 ounces, and states that it credits for 1 ounce equivalent of grain. Some statements include the crediting information for both the grain and meat on one statement. In this case, another statement from the company provides crediting information for the meat. The second statement includes the letterhead, signature, date, procedures followed, and crediting information for the meat. It states the 4-ounce portion provides 2 ounces of meat or meat alternate. Like a CN label, a product formulation statement provides CACFP crediting information. However, it is not enough to simply obtain a statement. It is critical to read the statement carefully and determine the portion sizes that will be needed for each age group based on the information provided. The required portion sizes must be shared with teachers in the classrooms so they know how much to serve. When purchasing and preparing the 4-ounce chicken breast fillet, consider that 1 to 2-year-olds would need only a half fillet, 3 to 5-year-olds would need 3/4, and school-aged children and adult participants would need a full portion of the fillet to receive the required amount of meat or meat alternate. This serving would also provide the required amount of grain for all age groups, except adult participants, who would need an additional ounce equivalent of grain to be served at lunch. Since the item is whole grain rich, it would meet the requirement to serve at least 1 whole grain rich item per day. For adult participants, the second grain served must be whole grain rich as well. When serving menu items using product formulation statements, keep the statements in the monthly file when the food was served, or in a separate file and record the date when the item was served. The documentation on file must also match the product purchased on the receipt. Check the label each time an item is served and obtain updated documentation if products change. Also record that a product formulation statement was used to credit the item in the far right column of the food production record. Refer to the lesson on CN labels instructions on how to complete the food production record. Module 3 provides detailed instructions on food production records. It can be challenging to obtain required documentation when purchasing processed foods. It is recommended to prepare most food from scratch rather than serving processed foods on a regular basis. Food prepared at the center is generally less expensive, and the ingredients can be controlled to make food healthier as well. This concludes the lesson on product formulation statements. If you have questions, please contact your CACFP consultant or the state agency. Contact information can be found in the front of the manual.